Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 16 of Season 1 2024 of Endurance for Amateurs at one of the most famous racetracks in the world. It's Raidillon, not Eau Rouge. Tonight is Spa. This race is brought to you by Ninja Botanicals and AlienAwards.net. And I already have to apologize for the upside-down track map that we're going to have for the entirety of today. I have no idea why it's upside down at SDK here. Coming up, though, 90-minute race with GTD and GTP class cars. Last week saw J Smart on pole yet again, but an early incident caused his withdrawal where Paul Skip led the rest of the race, finishing 20 seconds ahead of Nick Terrell, who put one over Nick Paletti in third with a tough one-stop fuel strategy. Now, with all the drop weeks calculated for the season, we have the best view of the championship picture for all the classes. Skip is still atop the GTP roster with Nick Terrell 4 points back and Nick Paletti 1 more point back in third. GTD-A saw a pole position for Travis Rowe, but an incident with Jack Lucas before the halfway point gave Ken Huber the lead, and he led the rest of the entire race. Tyler Langenberg and Aaron Claybaugh finished on the A podium with no other A drivers even completing the race. Huber, of course, still leads the field with 626 points, 124 back to Tyler Langenberg in second, but most of the battles for position are 6th and further back in the class. GTD-B was not just a B-class pole position for Jack Lucas, but an overall pole position in what might be an E for a first. But the aforementioned incident with Travis Rowe dashed hopes for that overall win. A thrilling duel between Nathan Westland and Jack Lucas in the closing minutes saw Jack Lucas get by on the final lap for win number 4. James Foreman remains in first place overall at 497 points, with Jesse Coffey, Jack Lucas, and Nathan Westland all closing the gap to Foreman at the front. Just 24 points for Coffey in particular, as Foreman had a rare finish off the podium with 11 podiums in 14 races this season. We are at a wonderful track here tonight, one that's going to be difficult to string together all the sections. There's, especially just given the different categories, or the different benefits and drawbacks to some of the car selections. There's long straights, there's tight corners, there's medium speed, and it's a really long race track. So it's difficult to get everything nailed in. But of course, coming through Eau Rouge and Raidillon, it is flat out for both of these cars. It's not going to be difficult as long as they're not trying to go side by side, which can work sometimes. You got to be really, really aware of everybody else. But the straight down here, Kimmel Straight, will probably be the most popular passing opportunity, but we'll have to see as we get into this race. There's a lot of places on this track that you can try to make a pass, but if you get caught up behind another driver in this middle section that we're seeing a lot of the drivers coming through in qualifying right now, it might be difficult to make a move without any sort of mistakes happening. We do have Terry Calgary Jr. here tonight. Surprise legend entrant to the GTD field, so see how he stacks up. I know didn't put obviously as much practice as he would on a normal race, but we're seeing him here tonight, and we do have a fully dry race today, and I specify that because that is not necessarily going to be the case for at least the next 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks will have a variable realistic weather schedule, so not a guaranteed amount of rain or anything, but possible rain depending on realistic factors for the time of that race. We might see some rain, we might not. It's hard to tell, and it's going to be an exciting thing to follow over the next couple weeks at Barcelona, and also at excuse me, I'm already forgetting what the race after is. It is at Interlagos. So both races possible for rain, and potentially the last 2 rounds that'll be evaluated at a future point. But right now, we're getting a lot of these times coming in. First laps, Paul Skip puts in a 2:01.111 with Nick Paletti 8/10 off. J Smart had the fastest time in practice by a good chunk of time, but we don't see a time yet as he's coming across. He's got 4 purples. Surely he's going to be going to the top here. Yes, by 6/10 to a 2:0.521. GT3 still waiting to come across the line. Ken Huber going to look to get another pole position on the season, was the second fastest in practice. Fastest was Sheldon Rosenbaum, although Nathan Westland, faster time right now by a couple tenths, 2:20.088, and all the drivers slotting in behind him until James Foreman moves into the 2:19s. First driver to break under that 2:20 mark, but I'm sure we'll see at least a couple more, although some strong runners are not able to hit that point yet. Terry Calgary Jr., first lap putting himself into second place. And again, he will not be scored for championship points, so it will not affect the drivers around him as far as points, but we'll be able to mix it up with them regardless. Dan Barnett coming across in 11th there, as we have about half the field putting in the time. More drivers than we had last week, for sure. A total number, I think, over 25 between both classes. And a good array of different cars that we're seeing in the GT3 class especially. I mean, we got a lot of Porsches, which is back to what we've kind of expected in the past. We have a few BMWs, we have Audis, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Mercedes, and really just everything except for the McLaren and the Ford. So it'll be an interesting look to see which car maybe seems to trend towards the top. Right now, we haven't had enough times, I think, to really figure that out. Meanwhile, in the GTPs, Jay Smart is in the Cadillac, or the Acura, excuse me, and all the other drivers in the Porsche. So the Porsche has been the favorite pick for all of the GTPs all season long, and it continues to be so, except for Jay Smart switching up here today with the Acura. So we'll see how he does in that different car, and maybe the long straight of the Kimmel here is something that is going to play into his car decision. Ken Huber looking to try to move his way up. He's currently in 6th. He's got a couple purple sectors there in the middle parts of the track. The middle parts of the track probably where you can gain the most amount of time with the amount of braking zones and tough corners that there are. As he comes down into the bus stop with one slow sector. This last sector is basically just the bus stop chicane. Not a lot going on with it. See what kind of time he puts in. Currently 6th, 6/10 back. Where is this going to slot him? We wait for the time up to 3rd, so not quite to the topic. He wanted a couple thousandths back from Terry Kiger Jr., so still on pole for A-Class, because so far it's shaping up like we might have another interesting occurrence of a B-Class driver on pole position. James Foreman with a pretty strong lead right now. Nathan Weston not that far back from Ken Huber, but these drivers still have a lot of time. 7 minutes into the qualifying session with how long these laps are. Some of these drivers still have another free one to put in, and we have a lot that haven't put a time in so far, with some of them definitely being on track, some not. So we may not see them here today. But we will keep an eye out for any new additions to the board. Dan Barnett, he puts an improvement on. It looks like maybe that time didn't count. Back in 15th, Todd Schneider in 16th. I think we're not going to see Christopher Craig. He is down there logged into the session. I think he said that he was not going to be able to make it for tonight's race, just health-wise, so may not see him take the start. Travis Bell with a really strong qualifying position so far, currently in 2nd place for the A-Class, 5th place overall, 4th if you exclude Terry's legend status, and just for almost 5/10 off of James Foreman's time. But James Foreman, that would be a fantastic return to, of course, like I mentioned, last week was one of only 3 races on the season that he's attended that he didn't make it onto the podium. Finished in 4th, I believe, for the class. Maybe, actually, I think he may have been 5th because I think Zach Nurnberger was able to pass him during that race. So not the strongest of weeks last week for James Foreman. Starting out on pole here would be an absolutely incredible start to try to seal away that championship lead that he currently has. And if we look at the stats, too, currently he's got 3 pole positions on the season. 2 other drivers, Nathan Weston and Jesse Coffey, they've got 2. Jack Lucas has 4. But it looks like James Foreman's in the driver's seat to get his 4th pole position on the season. So we have less than a minute. It's going to be just these drivers closing their laps, and I see a lot of yellow sectors down there. I'm not sure anybody's going to be able to improve their times. James Foreman is out here running. See what kind of time comes. He has all yellow sectors for him. So a lot of drivers crossing the line now. I don't think anybody's going to be making improvement. Jesse Coffey moves up a couple spots, up into 10th overall. Very competitive field right now. We got the top 11 all within a second. This is a long lap, so I mean that's actually saying quite a lot. Terry Kiger Jr. puts in a time, does not improve his position or time, still in 2nd place. Jay Smart up at the front may be able to extend his lead a little bit. A couple purple sectors still this late into the session at a 2:0.521 and puts a 4/10 slower 2:0.957. No improvement for him, but he's on pole regardless. I don't think, no time's going to be able to left. Nick Terrell was on a lap, but didn't get it in time. We'll see. He'll be starting from the back in another race here, so it'll be a difficult start for him. But as we get to this warm-up period, we'll take a few-minute break, and we'll be right back with you. All right, we're back in our official qualifying results. Jay Smart on pole position again for the 7th time on the season with a 2:0.521, followed by Paul Skip, Nicholas Paletti, Paul Poyle, John Kelly, and Nick Terrell starting without a time. Meanwhile, in the GT3s, James Foreman with the overall pole position for B class, and the overall for GT3s, the 2:19.688. Terry Kiger Jr. showing up in second as a legend entrant. Ken Huber is first for the GTDA runners and third, with Nathan Westland in fourth. Following them, we have Travis Bell, Jack Lucas, Aaron Claybaugh, Jeff McDonald, Sheldon Rosenbaum, and Jesse Coffey rounding out the top 10. Following them, Tyler Langenberg, Travis Rowe, Roger Shank, Greg Holland, Dan Burnett, Todd Schneider, Austin Diltz, Zach Nurnberger, Mauricio Prada, Morgan Smith, and Christopher Craig. And the last 5 drivers all not having a time. It does look like all of them have joined the start except for Christopher Craig, which was the driver I said didn't think they'd be able to make it for the entirety of this race. So all the drivers, all the other 4 drivers that weren't able to put in a time are still out here. So interesting to see how they do, because a couple of them are some new names with Austin Diltz and Morgan Smith. Have no idea what to expect. We didn't even see a qualifying time from them. The start of this race is going to be soon. Not a lot of the drivers utilizing that time in the warm-up period. Only one driver even put in a lap. Of course, there's not a ton of time to do so, but Jay Smart's going to lead him down in the La Source. The no passing rule until they're through Radion, so onto the Kimmel Straight. So we won't have to worry about Paul Skip right behind him for now. Although, Paul Skip, is that a correct paint job? It is. It must be. He's on a totally different looking car than we're normally used to seeing. But Jay Smart in first, waiting for that green flag. Oh, and we are on the endurance pits as well. So he's going to be getting the green flag until they get around the horn here, as the start line is going to be down this straight. So a pit stop, especially if drivers have to take a drive-through, is going to be really painful, as it's the longest pit lane that you could really imagine in all of endurance sports. But Jay Smart leading him. He's got the green. So acceleration is a go. No passing through Radion as they now make their way up the hill. And Paul Skip has a pretty decent run. The passing is now allowed as they head onto the Kimmel Straight. We haven't really seen a move made on lap 1 in the GTPs. It doesn't look like he's keen on trying to get that toe down the main straight, and almost got close enough to make something happen. Just wonder if he had chased that toe, if he would have been able to compete. Couple moves back in the field. Aaron Claybaugh's got a move on Jack Lucas. Austin Diltz on Todd Schneider. And Jack Lucas is falling down a few spots. Looks like he is all right, but maybe just got shuffled outside in a difficult part of the track. See here, here's the move that Aaron Claybaugh made, passing Jack Lucas. That was pretty standard, but maybe just hung out to dry on the outside of the track as they made their way through Lacombe. Oh no, actually a little bit of a touch, it looks like, between the two cars. That's what happened between those two guys. Looks like no damage or anything. Probably not even incident points to worry about in that case. Mauricio Parada up a couple spots. He did not put in a qualifying time. He's up 2 from where he started, now up in the 17th. And will be attempting to make a larger charge as he continues up the field. Very fast driver that we've seen. Zach Nurnberger just fell to the back, just behind Morgan Smith and Todd Schneider. This was Mauricio Parada getting by. And it looks like Zach Nurnberger just, he got back in line. Yeah, it just went wide there. So both drivers making their way through on the inside of the double left of Puhan. So and Tyler Langenberg is at the absolute end of the field here. What has happened to him? What does the car look like? From the back, the car looks okay, but here was the incident that he had. Following closely as they head through campus, through Stavolo, and a big tank slapper, but lucky to not have more damage than that. I would have expected the rear wing to fall off after that point. A lot to keep up with, though. All the drivers staying close with one another. The GTPs have not traded positions outside of Nick Terrell making his way past John Kelly. Again, Nick Terrell not putting in a qualifying time. Lots of positions close throughout the field. Currently, the biggest losers as far as positions outside of Tyler Langenberg Our Todd Schneider, who's back 3, and that's just some drivers who did not put a qualifying time in. And Jack Lucas back 3 from that minor little tap we saw between him and Aaron Clayball into Lacombe heading through Malmedy. So right now, Smart looks comfortable out front. He doesn't have the largest lead in the world, 8/10, but right there was a great example of why it's really easy to potentially get to the point that you get a drive-through at this track. We've seen it before, sometimes in a little bit longer races, 100-minute races as opposed to 90, but turns like that where you're just really, really incentivized to push to the absolute limit. Very easy to go out wide. That's another good example. Drivers will go out wide there, and just picking up all those tiny little off tracks. Another corner as he heads through Stavolo is a good example. And it's going to be difficult to keep those incident points in check, and we've seen the effect of that on the overall standings so far this season. Calgary Jr. has caught up to James Foreman here at the front. Again, he started in second, and this is the closest he's been. He's really hounding James Foreman. Foreman's not going to want to fight at all because he has, of course, to consider that Terry Calgary Jr. not being scored for points, but Nathan Westland not that far back. He's right there in that red Ferrari and plenty competitive to try to take that B-Class win. He got the B-Class win stolen from him right at the very end of the last race by Jack Lucas in a great battle between the two, but he's going to be trying to charge his way up to James Foreman at the front of the field and claim it here today. Austin Diltz, a driver who, again, didn't put in a qualifying time, on the charge here, trying to make a move on Greg Holland. Might be able to make a move into the bus stop chicane as he sticks close through Blanchimont. Is he going to try a move down the inside? It doesn't look like he's setting one up. He's happy to stay behind, although was probably close enough to attempt that there. There won't be a move there. Good acceleration for Holland as he makes his way out of that turn. We'll also look here at Sheldon Rosenbaum, who, which even including Jack Lucas there, close in a big train of drivers from Travis Bell on back, 5th back to 9th, all separated by just a few tenths each. And Bell really not that far back from Westland. It just does seem like those top 4 are starting to step away a little bit, which is in good favor for Ken Huber because he's the only driver of those 4 that's in the A class. The other drivers in the B class or Legend, as in Terry's case. Do have Tyler Lingerberg back out on track. Of course, this is going to be a difficult race for him. It's typically one stop for the GT3s unless there's something surprising about the fuel usage here. So he's going to be taking an extra stop from all the other drivers, and that is a lot of lost time, unfortunately. But the one thing he can possibly try to bank on, hope for, is some drive-thrus if he can avoid having too many incidents, because that's going to lose a lot of time as well. Travis Rowe losing a couple positions, might lose another. Austin Diltz here, he will, as they head around No Name Corner, now into Puhan. He's well behind. I wonder what happened to him there. Let's see the initial pass Roger Shank made. Oh, just really wide into Bruxelles, which is a very difficult corner because it's so off camber that it just invites understeer. And if you just overcook it a little bit too much, you're going to have to really hammer on those brakes and completely abandon trying to make that corner in any sensible amount of time. And that seems to be what happened to him there. He did save himself from going off track. I mean, that's the optimal thing to have happen in that scenario. But unfortunately, a couple lost positions for him, down to 14th. The driver who at one point was challenging for first last week, so it's a bit of a flip for him, but he does have a lot of time to make up some spots. McDonald right now all over the back of Aaron Clayball. This is fighting for 6th. And he got a little close into the start of the braking zone, and then at the end of the braking zone, Clayball got close to Bell. Looked like a pretty good exit for McDonald there. Is he going to be able to do anything about it? Such a short run, unfortunately, into La Source from the bus stop that there often aren't a lot of moves made into there unless you have a really good exit. Good apex for both drivers through there. Clayball driving slightly defensively, but keeping plenty of pace. Holland and Diltz trading positions right now. Looks like Diltz on the inside, and they're gonna have to sort out by Eau Rouge here. I imagine Holland's going to back out of this, and he will, yes. You can battle if you really have to, side by side through there. Not typically advised, and he's going to be worried about Travis Rowe now from behind as he gets that draft from Diltz down the main straight. He's going to lose the draft, but he doesn't have enough overspeed to make it happen. Holland's going to get the draft now on the left side. Is he going to be able to defend his spot? Both breaking around the exact same time. Rowe's got the inside, though, and it's not over. It's not over as they head their way through Lacombe. Now into Malmedy, I think he will take that spot. He does. And right behind, Mauricio Parada trying to make something happen as well. Wasn't able to capitalize on anything, but might be able to here. Purcell, maybe a touch between the two. Hard to tell. Very close. He's going to be on the outside of No Name, which is not where you want to be. Yeah, a brave move to attempt, but if it doesn't get done there, you're going to lose out there. Up at the front, Huber, Cowger, Foreman. Cowger's trying to make the move. Does he have it done? He's on the inside through Piff Paff. I don't think it's going to be still settled until they get to this corner. A little bit wide for Terry, but I think Foreman's going to be behind as he takes the outside. Not the preferred line here. He's going to have to try to fend off Ken Huber. Can't really do it. Huber at his nose there was ready, and he may be able to make his way by as well. Evenly matched as they head now through Coeur Paul Frere down into Blanchimont. You want to be on the inside. But Huber's up a little bit. Look at Westland. Westland is already right up next to him. He almost made it 3 wide for 1 split second. He's going to lose out for just a hair there as he swings on. Oh, and a touch between the two. That was not on purpose, but a touch between Nathan Westland and Ken Huber has led to the first major incident that Ken Huber has experienced all season long. Luckily not, at least still continuing his win streak, but Huber's car is still driving. That's shocking. Let's see what that looked like as we get a look at the car. It is pretty banged up in the front, but it really could have been a lot worse. Let's go back to a replay here. This is stepping back a little bit in time as Ken Huber had made the pass, and Westland almost making it 3 wide for 1 moment. So we watch Westland, that Lightning McQueen car, heading through Blanchimont. And yeah, just the slightest amount of slowdown for Huber, who at the time was, of course, trying to take the outside line. And what a dodge there for Jag Lucas as well. Jesse Coffey doing the same. But an unfortunate development for Ken Huber. Shocking that he was able to keep going. Did get to spin around 360. Car is well enough to still be driving. He clearly hasn't lost a gap to Coffey and Lucas here. So, I mean, incredible that was not a more disastrous outcome for him, but not the preferred thing, especially a guy that in a lot of these races has been able to do them with 0 incident points. Of course, we're not going to be expecting a 0 incident race from Huber here today after that crash. So an unfortunate incident for him. Does probably have the championship already locked up regardless, but not the greatest thing to see. I don't think Westland did anything too wrong. They were all just battling so close, really trying to take advantage of some mix-ups that was happening ahead of him, and just didn't expect that little bit of a lift there that Westland going 1 wide didn't need to take through Blanchimont, that Huber, who at the time was 2 wide with Foreman, did need to. So up at the front, though, Foreman still not falling too far away from Terry Cowger Jr. He's 7/10 back. Westland another second. Westland wouldn't have picked up any damage from that. And another interesting development to see as well is Austin Diltz here, really competitive with Mauricio Parada, almost taking around the outside, and a wiggle for Mauricio Parada there as he's hitting the curbs. But Diltz in the Audi, which is so far looking at the other drivers, and of course there's some extenuating circumstances for some like Tyler Langenberg. It has not been a very successful car here tonight. He's the lead driver of 4, and all of them behind him in 12th, 15th, 17th, and 19th. But the car, as we wait to see, that is really tight. Oh, Parada defending him into the wall. Is Diltz going to continue, or is he just... He's not going to continue. He got fed into the wall there. I mean, I seemed like he had enough overlap, at least with that rear wheel, to earn some space, but we'd have to see a replay on that. Aaron Claybaugh defending right now, attacking, defending. He's going to lose out to Jeff McDonald around the outside. Oh, maybe not. He takes the inside. That's the beauty of this double corner, and through Malmedy, McDonald's got the spot. Oh, and back into Purcell. He's going to try. Oh, he's going to back back out of that one. I thought that was going to continue through another corner. This is a racetrack where you can definitely have battling through a good half of the track at least. But that incident back there, unfortunate. But the thing I was going to bring up, we have the Ferrari really well represented at the front of the field. No Ferrari further back than 6th overall. And actually, if we exclude Terry Calger there up in first as a legend, they're actually 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th. So the Ferrari is the real home run pick here tonight. Let's take a look at that replay again that happened with Austin Diltz and Mauricio Parada. Interesting incident. See if we can get it from a different view here. Maybe on the brakes he wasn't there in time. It's just a little bit of a weird reaction for Parada. Just leave a little bit of space there, but Travis Bell is in the wall, not damaged, but waiting for all these drivers to make their way by, including the GTPs who are now starting their lapping sessions. Man, Travis Bell, what a shame to lose this much time. He's being safe with the rejoining. But despite, he actually does have some damage to the front of that car. Let's see what that incident was. Maybe related to Zach Nuremberger. It looks like he had an incident around the same time, just losing it going wide after Piff Paff. Tank slapper, hits the wall. Luckily, no one else involved. Gets out of the way just in time from Jack Lucas. Lucas, again, narrowly dodging a wreck. Doesn't look like anything else. So Zach Nuremberger's incident, a separate event. This looks like it's coming into Piff Paff as well. This is on the entry of it. Going out a little bit wide, but yeah, I don't know. Probably a VR issue, given that he continued. So I imagine a VR little glitch that he had there, because he's back on the road. So not sure exactly what happened to him there. A few incidents that we've had now. And we can see right there, Jay Smart, who's still leading the class, is still just a second ahead of Paul Skip. They're making their way through this traffic now. Could be an opportunity for Skip to really take advantage and make up some spots. You can see there, he caught up another couple tenths through that traffic as he's making his way by Jack Lucas now. Lucas up in 7th, down 1 spot from where he qualified. Ken Huber still back there and going the same pace as Coffey and Lucas here, so clearly able to drive plenty fast, shockingly, despite that damage. I would love to see what's going to happen at the end, because he's obviously going to be able to get his car fixed in that pit stop. So does he still have a hope in this race? It's possible. He really only is 5-6 seconds. Let's see the overall gap that he's got. Yeah, okay, I miscalculated a little bit, but 9 seconds. Only 9 seconds off the lead. Still with an hour 15 to go. That is not undoable. He's won races by more than that. So don't count him out. If his car's still working like it is right now, he's going to pit probably as soon as he can, you would imagine. But I don't think there's going to be as much leeway with this track. A lot of fuel burnt, and with a one-stop strategy, you don't have a lot of wiggle room either way. The GTPs swinging their way through now. Paul Boyle at one point, just a couple tenths back from Nick Terrell, falls back a little bit as, and we never saw that move that Terrell made. Actually, it's right here. Just happened, believe it or not. Just on the previous lap through turn 1, just a bad exit for Paul Boyle. The traffic helping out Terrell a little bit. Okay, never mind. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Parada, didn't do anything wrong, but there was barely enough room for Terrell, and they split Travis Rowe. So some gutsy moves for Terrell to take that 4th place spot. Doing so incident-free, at least through what we saw there. At the front for the B-Class drivers, Nathan Westland has slowly closed up on James Foreman. Gap was over a second before, now down to 6 tenths, as Foreman's still challenging Terry Calger Jr. up there at the front. They have most of the GTPs through. They have through Nick Terrell, Paul Boyle right behind as he's waiting through Malmedy. Tough section as he's going to lose that close gap that he had to Terrell earlier in the lap. Wesson just a couple tenths back. Wasn't able to make a move in that section. Through No Name, left-hander, one that's really easy for drivers to swing out wide, get an incident point, or even slow down if you go wide enough. Down to Dubla Gauche or Puhan. Dubagos just translating to double left, because that's exactly what it is. It's double apex left-hander, and one that's really easy to lose a lot of time if you don't nail where exactly to put your car. All things considered, if these drivers put their practice in, not too difficult until the tires really start to wear away on them. A little bit of tire squeal as they slide through Pif-Paf. Tires starting to step out on them a little bit, and you can see that in the exit of campus now through Stavelot. One that's a little bit easier to stick to the track limits at least. Look a little bit further back to Mauricio Parada, who again qualified without a time, so he started back in 19th. He's now up 8 spots, and he's challenging for 10th overall right now with Travis Rowe, who's up 2. And a name that we haven't mentioned as well is Morgan Smith. He's up 10 spots as well. Looks like he has the same livery as Austin Diltz, so they might be teammates. Not sure on that detail. But both drivers up 8 after not qualifying, so good way to salvage some points. But Parada getting really close to losing control of that car there. The Lamborghini is quick, but it is definitely a little bit spicy. And we've seen actually a few different instances of Parada's car getting squirrely through some traction zones, but he's still driving plenty fast as he's charging up through the field. Let's see if he's able to stay close enough through Eau Rouge and Radiant to make anything happen. Now through La Source. And again, not often a passing opportunity, La Source. And things are heating up at the front of the field as well as this gap increases. We look back up to the top 3, now separated by about 0.3 each. Still nothing happening, though, into Lake Home. So Terry Geiger Jr. unscored, but he was able to get that first place of the overall race. And hasn't relinquished it since, but there's been plenty of competition. Also in the GTPs, that's plenty of competition as well. Right now, Skip at one point was just 0.2, now down to 0.2 again. As they make their way through campus and Stavelot, this is ultra tight. We've seen some tight battles late in the GTPs, but often we've seen them spread out a little bit in the once we get past the first few laps. But this is some of the most competitive we've seen all season. Nowhere for Skip to put his car yet. Good positioning for Jay Smart. He's going to go on the inside. Is he going to make it happen? They're both going to be hitting the brakes. He's much farther ahead, and Jay Smart can't defend it at all. Just was not able to do anything into that bus stop. Skip with so much more speed. I don't know if the draft was helping him there, but a really tough situation for Smart. I don't think he really could have done anything to defend that any better. Let's see if he's able to get him back. We also look in the GT3s, Nathan Westland, 0.2, sub 0.2 back from James Foreman. And they're heading down into one of the best passing opportunities. We just saw Paul Skip take advantage of it. Will Nathan Westland take advantage of it? Will he try to make that move into the bus stop chicane? The defense is definitely coming from Foreman. He's hugging that inside right into the last moment. Swings out wide. Really keen car placement for James Foreman to initially block off that inside, calmly move back to the racing line. It's exactly what Westland didn't want him to do. He wanted that inside from the start. You could tell from his body language, wasn't able to get that, and he's going to have to try something a little more creative or hope that that Foreman slips up. Right now, plenty close. So Jay Smart is not as close as he was when we initially saw him swap positions. Back to 0.6 now. Does he, I mean, he obviously got past him, but now does he also not have the pace? Travis Rowe into the pits. And looks like that may have been from a series of incidents as we check this first incident here. Oh, and a big spin through Puhan. Mauricio Parada doing well to hit those brakes and avoid crashing into him. Not a big collision for Rowe. This was a second incident that happened right after that. So that's through Blanchimont, I believe, and that is a pretty significant collision. He towed to the pits. We may not see him again here today. Mauricio Parada is now then moved up to 10th due to that incident, with Morgan Smith right behind him. This battle's still plenty close. We also see another close battle. Jack Lucas trying to snatch back 6th overall. Started in 6th, has dropped one position down, and trying to get one back here on Aaron Claybaugh, who's been having a really good race. Was on podium last race. Of course, a bit of an asterisk, of course. Only 3 drivers in the A-Class even finished the race, so anybody was going to be on the podium. But right now, very competitive for him there in 6th place overall. Mauricio Parada just had an incident. He just made his way into the top 10. Oh, let's scoot back a little bit further from that. What happens here? He's got the car of Morgan Smith behind him into Brussels. This is where we saw Travis Rowe have that incident, braking a little bit late, and he does the same and just tows. I have no explanation for that beyond just kind of blew the braking point, and I don't think there was any damage. It didn't seem like there was any damage. But we'll see if he rejoins this race. Westland, again, wants that inside. They're in that same spot there where he's going to get the inside, but doesn't have enough speed to try to take that braking zone from him. Bit of a different line through that chicane. Sheldon Rosenbaum has quietly been following this pair as well and has not fallen that far back. He's just a 1.5 seconds off of Nathan Westland right now. He's obviously right there with Jeff McDonald, not too far back himself. Jay Smart has just had an incident. Just had an incident here. Jay Smart, big wiggle through the braking into Brussels. Just too hard on the brakes to begin. And that is not the corner, like I said before, not the corner to miss your braking point. Tried to get back on track, didn't have the time. Let Paletti and Terrell through, and Paul Boyle passed him around the outside. That is why he fell back to 5th. No damage. But Jay Smart now with 3 races in a row with a big incident happening within the first 30 minutes. And of course, last week, even more recent than that, was just on lap 2, I believe. Oh, Jack Lucas has the move made. He's going to send it down the inside. He's going to have the out. Oh, he's already got it claimed. He's already got it claimed. So Aaron Claybaugh backing off from that one a little bit. See what that looked like from another angle. Aaron Claybaugh, yeah, just wasn't able to even defend around along the inside. We saw him defend that spot earlier in the race, but couldn't do so there. Was already beat through the braking zone. Westland falling back a little bit. 0.6, 0.5. I mean, that's a big gap when we consider how close they've been the last few laps. But that does mean that he's lost back to Sheldon Rosenbaum specifically, who's now closer to him than he is to James Foreman. But this pair, or this trio, excuse me, of Lucas, Claybaugh, Coffey, all very close. 2 drivers in the B class with Lucas and Coffey, and those are 2 drivers all competing for some of the top spots in the overall championship. Right now, Jesse Coffey is at 473 points. Jack Lucas at 469. Only 4 points separating the second and third place runners here in the overall standings. So Coffey would do well to try to get up, because right now he's going to, excluding safety points, which can estimate, he would be losing that second place spot to to Jack Lucas, excuse me, if this is how they finish. So he needs to try to get by at least Aaron Claybaugh here to stem the bleeding a little bit. Of course, ideally, try to challenge Lucas up there at the front. Coffey started back in 10th and has moved his way up a couple spots. And Ken Huber lurking back there, but does seem like he's a little bit slower than this group, which is not a knock. I mean, these guys are fast. But generally what we've seen from Ken Huber, of course, running at the front of the field most times. And you do have to wonder if this affects anything about his fuel usage. Of course, not able to run this stint as optimally as he would like. So it'll be curious to watch. Meanwhile, at the front, so because of that incident from Jay Smart, of course, Paul Skip leading comfortably by 10 seconds. But Nick Terrell has slowly been catching up to Nick Paletti here. Almost brought it to sub 1 second now. You can see the lap time, excuse me, that's the wrong comparison, between Paletti and Terrell. Paletti has been slower in almost every lap, with the exception of lap 9, over the last 5. And considering that I think there was some traffic with those, if you really consider these last 4 laps, luckily Paletti faster on that lap. Todd Schneider. And Jack Lucas. Jack Lucas has made his way by, or Aaron Claybaugh. Aaron Claybaugh is getting the spot back, excuse me. Is he going to be able to keep it through No Name? He's got to back out. He can't swing around the outside there. But he's going to be able to maybe make an attempt into the braking zone of Puhan. It's not a hard braking zone. I think he's probably going to wisely stick behind. Yeah, almost a move made there. Oh, and through the second half, he's going to make something into Piff Paff, possibly, into Lefania. No, he cannot. He didn't have that push from the car. Take a look again at the the battle. This was Lucas trying to make it happen into the braking zone. So Claybot got it back. Oh, that's going back a lap. That's going back a lap. This was Aaron Claybot trying to get it back from him on the next lap that we saw into the braking zone. Seemed like he had it, but a strong move around the outside, brave move around the outside for Lucas to stick it, because that is with the off camber, so difficult to make that work, but did so and was able to claim the inside for No Name. Still close between the two, close up front again as well. Westland has closed back up to Foreman, but Rosenbaum hasn't fallen back while Westland's closed up, so both drivers seem to be slightly faster than James Foreman at this time. Yeah, both drivers into the 20s, high 20s, with James Foreman's last lap at a 21.33. So could James Foreman possibly be looking at not just one spot, but two spots if he makes any sort of slip-ups here? We're getting close to the 30-minute mark, so the GTPs, if they're on a two-stop strategy, which has been maybe two-thirds of the races this season, that could happen soon. But we saw Nick Terrell make a one-stop strategy work last week, and it worked to his benefit by a lot. He was able to get a spot on Nick Paletti that Paletti just wasn't able to account for. And wonder if any of the drivers are driving that way here today. Of course, if Jay Smart wasn't trying that before, he definitely could try it now after that incident. Might be able to help him out a little bit. But as far as seconds go, I mean, he's just 5 seconds back from second, Nicholas Paletti. It's just that gap from Skip to Paletti there in first that is going to be a little bit difficult to overcome at this point. Here's the battle we have up at the front. Calgary Jr. still there in the front, not scoring any points, so James Foreman does lead the race. And Nathan Westland, another B-Class driver, second place in the overall race. So we have had B-Class drivers win on just a couple occasions the overall race, but I don't think we've ever had the top two be B-Class. But Sheldon Rosenbaum's trying to spoil that right now. Just a few tenths through Piff Paff, wasn't able to make anything happen for Westland. Rosenbaum trying to take advantage, nothing happening there. Through campus, and you'd see all these drivers, their name pinging red up on that mini map as they're estimated as to have been off track, and that's not entirely accurate to how iRacing calculates their off tracks, but they are close. It is something to keep an eye on, because some of these drivers may be running into some issues later in this race if they have to take a drive through, and again, what is just a brutally long pit lane. We'll see one of these pit stops soon, and you'll get an idea of exactly why it's so long. Pit lane goes down both sections of La Source, down the top and the bottom of it, to be able to accommodate all the cars. And it's a long, difficult trip if you've got to drive through in today's race. But Rosenbaum not close enough to make anything happen. Really wants to. He's getting itchy. He wasn't close enough for a lot of this race. Has slowly caught up to these guys. You can see just what he sees in front of him. The two Ferraris of James Foreman, Nathan Westland. Rosenbaum himself in the Ferrari. Jeff McDonald right behind him also in the Ferrari. Strong car pick here today. Jay Smart looking like he might be able to get a spot for position as we're going to follow that. John Kelly into the pits. He's the first for the GTPs. Looks like he's going to be pitting on schedule. No move for Nathan Westland into the braking zone of Lacombe. And with a couple battles still close, we'll keep an eye on this. But with 30 minutes in, close to that first pit stop for the GTPs, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with you in a few minutes. But keep this exciting action here still on the screen. back, and of course some action happened right when I stepped away. Terry Kiger Jr., of course, not being scored for points, but having a big incident here. Leading that group of 3 by a good amount. Maybe hits that curb just a little bit too much, sends him a little bit too far right. Having a similar incident to Ken Huber as far as hitting that inside wall. Gets out of the way of the rest of the drivers. Wasn't able to continue, came into the pits. Just was able to drive into there under his own power. But falling back a good amount. And then we also had an incident for Paul Skip. Here leading the race. Okay, not actually an incident, excuse me. But some connection issues for Paul Skip. Hopefully not going to cause him any issues in the long term for this race. But it's still really close for these guys up at the top. This is now not just for the symbolic win, but it is for the actual win of the race. These guys leading, all 4 Ferraris, leading the top 4. Jeff McDonald a little bit further back from the rest of the group, but he doesn't have to worry about Jack Lucas behind as of yet, so he's in a bit of a no man's land. But this group of 3, any one of these could step out on any of these laps and take the lead. We did also see Nick Terrell making a move on Nicholas Paletti. Up through the Radeon section into the Kimmel Straight and using some traffic to his, and actually using Travis Rowe specifically through Radeon to pass another GTP. What a coincidence. That was, as we look there, that was almost a move for Sheldon Rosenbaum. Is he still going to be able to battle this? He's on the inside. He really has to lose out a lot of speed. He does, yeah. Westland's going to be able to stay ahead. Tough move to make. I mean, to make the move into Puhan, you've really got to have a good send on the inside of the first part and try to get a nose ahead. All that really has done is let James Foreman step away. Hopefully these drivers able to catch back up, but not what Westland wanted to happen there. He was challenging for that first place spot. Now he's got to claw that back over a second while still defending from Rosenbaum, who's just that 6/10 behind him. A little further back, Zach Nurnberger right now catching up to Roger Schenk into Piff Paff. And Roger Schenk actually hit Nurnberger's car, looking more like a Roger Schenk machine than Roger Schenk's car. Of course, Schenk does have his AlienAwards.net sponsorship on there, but we're used to seeing that Monster livery that he has. Not Monster is the drink, but like an actual monster. Red and black, just like Zach Nurnberger's car is, so bit of a role reversal as he's trying to catch up. Nurnberger up 7 spots, not quite as much as Morgan Smith up 11. Both drivers who, again, didn't put in the qualifying time, but capitalizing on some good moves here early. Jesse Coffey still close with Aaron Claybaugh. It does seem like Claybaugh's fallen away from Jack Lucas a good amount. So Lucas is starting to step away. This was a 3-man battle here for this 5th place spot. Now it has dropped down to a 2-man battle for 6th. And Coffey had a good run there through Radeon. Can he make anything happen into Lake Home? Down the Kimmel Straight. He's down to 1/10, 1.5 tenths. Is he going to pull out to the side? He's pulling out at least to get some free braking spot. He's keeping it really close. Yeah, it wasn't close enough to try to make a move. Just trying to get some clean air through the braking zone. Claybaugh handled it with poise and stays in front. No moves having been made in the last few laps. And again, if there's anything about incident points, drivers getting off tracks and racking those up, we're not going to see that for a little bit. That'll probably be something that doesn't come into effect until maybe 60, 70 minutes into this race, probably at the earliest. But we definitely see some fast drivers really pushing the limits, literally the track limits here at this track. Nurnberger staying close again with Roger Schenk. Defensive move into Brussels for Schenk, taking the inside pretty early, shutting off any hope for Nurnberger to slip a nose in there. Take a good exit for that Mercedes for Nurnberger. But again, not a big enough run into Puhan to make anything happen. Gonna have to follow through there unless Roger Schenk goes out a little bit wide. We've seen most drivers able to hold their line there. And the tires, again, starting to go away. But we're closing in on that 40-minute mark, which should be good news for Ken Huber. He's still sitting there in 8th, a couple seconds off of Jesse Coffey in 7th. And, of course, he is continuing to lose time to the leaders with that damage that he's got on that car. But we're getting very close to the point where he can make that first stop and try to get that clean car and just crank out some fast laps, especially in that crossover point between when the latest drivers pit, but also just until the end of the race. Still a lot of time. We're just under 50 minutes to go, and it'll be interesting to see when he comes in the pits. Nürnberger really strong. Oh, but he's going to take the inside. He's going on the inside, and he's got the move. Ooh, and they cross over. I think Schenck was trying to do a bit of a crossover. Unfortunately, the timing of it didn't quite work. Nürnberger will still have his hands full into La Source, but I think he'll be able to defend the position well enough. There was some talk about the Mercedes here being a good pick. We kind of can't really judge it. We've only got 2 drivers in it, Jack Lucas, Zach Nürnberger. Nürnberger is up a lot of spots from where he qualified, which was no time. And Lucas doing well as he has over the last few weeks, so really hard to judge. But the Ferrari does seem like the magic answer here tonight. I think Nürnberger's going to be able to comfortably hold this. We have Paul Skip come into the pits, so you get an idea of the pit lane here. So he's made his way into the first part of the pit lane. You'd think his box would be right there. It is not. His box is not in that section. That is for the other half of the field, which actually all the field may be in this second section, given the number, 25, 20, 27 drivers. And this is the what you're faced with if you get a drive-through here on this track, or having to pit early with some damage like we've seen some drivers already have to do. He's still making his way down. He hasn't even started his pit stop yet, and he's down in 5th place. We still wait some more. Still waiting to get there, and he's finally in his pole position, or second place, pit stop there. That is what the drivers are tasked with. If they get a drive-through, gonna be trying to avoid that, but obviously getting some tires here at that halfway point almost for Paul Skip. It's a similar situation to what we saw last week, though, where he pit around that time, and we saw Nick Terrell actually be able to extend it beyond that halfway point. If they can still go another lap past what they've currently got in the tank, which after Terrell got past Paletti, he has not stepped away. It seemed like he had the pace to really catch up quickly, but then has maybe managed it since that point. Hard to tell, just a guess. But Ken Hubert, yes, coming into the pits, so early enough for the GT3s to make a stop. It looks like he's the first guy. And a good note made by Nick Terrell, too, that, of course, the fuel tanks are not entirely equal between all the GT3s. They are spec'd to be all pretty much equal performance, but the Lamborghini does actually have a slightly larger fuel tank than the rest of the cars, and that may play into a little bit why he's able to save some time in the pit stops, but there's still, of course, more to the equation than just that. Paletti and Terrell still staying out, so when they come back around, it is going to be the halfway point. It is going, oh man, this may spell doom for Paul Skip's strategy, as when he came in, he was definitely short of that halfway point by a good few minutes. If he doesn't do some fuel saving over the last part of this race, he is going to lose out on strategy to both Paletti and Terrell at least. Not Jay Smart's going to be closer at least. But Skip might be a little bit worried seeing that these guys still haven't come into the pit stops. And speaking of pit stops, since we're into that range, we've now seen Huber, Nürnberger, Schneider come in. It'll be interesting to see if someone like Sheldon Rosenbaum here makes a pit to try to undercut these top two. We've seen the undercut really valuable, really effective in some races over the last few weeks, and it could be a home run strategy to get that first place spot without ever having to pass anybody on track. Paul Skip's car spreading out the battle up at the front a little bit. Are we going to see any of these guys come in? We're about to hit. They're obviously going to be well past the halfway point once they actually get into their box. No pit stop for the first two, and yes, an undercut attempt for Sheldon Rosenbaum. He's going to pit before these first two. The outlap is going to be absolutely crucial for him, but this may be a very successful strategy, especially if these drivers were feeling some squirreliness on those tires. He's going to be already past the halfway point. He'll have no issue with the fuel. A couple other drivers pitting on this lap. Jesse Coffey. It looks like Todd Schneider may be still in the pits. Not sure if he's had a larger incident than we've seen. And Terrell and Paletti still out there. About, coming out to the end of this lap. So if they come in at all, it'll probably be now. Looks like both guys saving some, just the way that you could see them not really attacking that corner very hard. And let's see, is that Terrell still going? Terrell's still going. Terrell's still staying out. I mean, he doesn't have to. He's already got the one stop secured. Wow, so maybe every driver save Paul Skip and possibly Jay Smart able to make a one-stop happen. That's going to be really curious. We saw Paul Skip in first by a good amount. Is that going to matter by the time that the second pit that he has to take happens? Because if he's going to lose out due to pit strategy, it doesn't matter how fast he goes. But unfortunately, we're 45 minutes into this race. We're halfway through, and we're really not going to be able to know that until an hour 25, an hour 20. So we'll just have to keep our eye on it and try to make some estimations, but definitely a very curious difference in strategy again that we're having here today, except more drivers able to do and a wiggle for James Foreman. Is he going to give up the spot to Nathan Westland? Westland trying to take advantage. He wasn't quite close enough. They're around the outside of Brussel. He's got the advantage. He's going to swing it through. Not Brussel. That was Campus, excuse me. Nathan Westland is now the lead of not just the B class. He's the lead of this race. But what is Sheldon Rosenbaum doing in that outlap? Because surely they're going to be coming into the pit stop soon. Nathan Westland currently has first place. Does Rosenbaum have anything to say about it? But just a minor mistake for Foreman, and it looked tire-based. I mean, there was a strange wiggle that he had there through the traction zone. They may be pitting this lap, not because they have to for fuel, but just because the tires are starting to give him issues. And yes, a pit stop for Nathan Westland. He's coming into the stops, and so is James Foreman. So can one lap, which albeit a very long lap, can one lap make the difference for Rosenbaum? He's got a clean track. No one bothering him. He hasn't had any issue with traffic slowing him down. Terry Kiger Jr. 7 seconds back, so we do see what he looks like in the overall standings here, but he did have to pit earlier than that halfway point, of course. Westland, Foreman, McDonald, the other three Ferraris all into the stops. Jack Lucas, Aaron Claybaugh sticking it out, so Jack Lucas will return to the race lead, something he experienced last week, so not a stranger to it, but will have to come into the pits, him and Claybaugh. Rosenbaum right now swinging it through Stavelo, down Curb Paul Frere, and you'd think that the drivers would already be close to out of their pits, but with how long the pit stops, or how long the pit lane is, that pit time is really massive. And so we just now, I think, got those drivers actually in. Yeah, they just now, those other three, into their pit boxes. I'm really curious. The pit exit is so far down the track, too. So Rosenbaum passed the entry, but still a lot of track to go before they get to the exit. And Nathan Westland will mostly be the guy we're trying to watch, although Foreman was close enough. If he has a short stop, he could hop the other drivers. Of course, Ken Huber, a fast pit stop there, 29.75. So they're on their out. They're on the out. Nathan Westland is in front with Foreman and McDonald. Does Rosenbaum have the speed here? He's going to lose out, I think, to both guys. Maybe he's going to get Foreman here. He's going to have a lot of overspeed. He is. He's going to swing by James Foreman. But what about Nathan Westland? I think he might be safe. It's going to be really tough. He's going to have cold tires. Sheldon Rosenbaum, as he hunts him down. Now the gap to 6/10, 5/10, but up to speed already, Nathan Westland. Oh, devastating. But Rosenbaum was able to get one spot. So not a failure, but he really, maybe if he was able to make one more lap earlier happen. He has the tires, the temperature, but this is a tough part of the track to get by. Westland's going to be a little bit benefited by track geometry while he gets his tires in the right window. Ooh, Nicholas Paletti just got Nick Terrell for position, and the gap is massively increasing. It's all 3 seconds. Something has happened with Nick Terrell. He's now behind Jay Smart. Okay, now that battle has cooled off, let's see what happened to Nick Terrell here. We don't even see him in the screen. Paletti coming up is... it was a pit stop. It made it look like he was just losing a bunch of time. However, that is strange. We saw Nick Terrell take it long, and he has actually lost out trying to do that. did not have but maybe at the end. He's going to have fresher tires at the end of this race. So maybe that'll still be something that can happen. Oh, and I wasn't even, I was confused there. Sheldon Rosenbaum is in first. I mean, the net first. We got to wait for those guys in the top 4 positions to pit, but Rosenbaum got by right when I moved away to look at that replay for Nick Terrell. Rosenbaum's in first with Westland right behind him, 2/10. He's trying to fight it back. It must have been into Puhan would be my guess. We'll see a replay as long as we're sure. Yeah, nothing's going to happen there. Let's take a look at the replay. And it's actually through the exit of Puhan into Pif-Paf. Not a common passing zone, but just so much more temperature, speed for Rosenbaum. Nice move to take advantage. So the undercut got him that spot from James Foreman easily. He had to work. He had to work for that spot from Nathan Westland, but he's now to the front of the field in first. Right now, Ken Huber is in 11th. He has the clean car. He's got a lot of time still to try to charge up through the field. We're in, of course, 11th, not factoring in that we're having some hits right now. Travis Bell is going to fall behind him. Roger Shank will fall behind him as well. Aaron Claybaugh might. That's where it's going to be close. Let's take a look at that. Huber comes up through Radion. 5/10, 4/10, 3/10, and he's going to fly by Aaron Claybaugh's car as he's trying to get up to speed. So up to 8th for Huber. Not a total disaster. And now with a clean car, a fast car, can he make something happen late in this race? He did not, for once, have the shortest pit stop. So we take a look at pit time. We can pull that up there. That's the number you see on the side of the screen. So Ken Huber, 29.7. Still in the top range of some of the fastest stops. But we saw 28.2 for Jesse Coffey. And Terry Cowger Jr., ignore that number because he had to pit before the strategy time. So that is not a representative number for a normal pit stop. But a 28.2 for Jesse Coffey. He's in front of Ken Huber and beat Ken Huber at his own game. Of course, Huber was a little bit of that stint was out of his hands, unfortunately. But can any of that be leveraged later on in the race? We'll have to see. Westland is falling back from Sheldon Rosenbaum, and Rosenbaum was able to get that spot initially due to some tire temperature, but now it looks like he may just have that superior pace on him, at least at this point early in this stint. Of course, he pit a lap earlier. He'll have 1 lap older tires at the end. Will that really make a difference? Hard to tell. We did see Nathan Westland, of course. His laps were only 2, maybe 3. I think it was just 2 laps older than Jack Lucas's at the end of last week's race at Hockenheim, and that ended up making a big difference in that battle at the end of the race, as it just looked like he was struggling a little bit more for grip in all the spots where he really needed to have some. Jack Lucas, aforementioned, he's in the pits now, so he's going to lose that first place spot. We'll see where he comes out. Should be around the 6th, 7th place. Coming out around the Terry Cowger mark would be a good result for him. He's technically ahead of Jeff McDonald on track right now, but McDonald should fly by him as he's still on the exit. But it's going to be close, actually. It looks like Lucas may be going long. I think that's closer than he was to Jeff McDonald before. Also, it does look like McDonald may have lost a little bit to that group in front. 4 seconds now to James Foreman. But Jesse Coffey is trying to get a move on Terry Cowger Jr. Oh, didn't make it happen there in the braking zone. Was very close. Was nose to nose as they were on the brakes, I think. Couldn't get it done. But he's going to keep it close here. Nick Terrell has caught up a little bit to Jay Smart. Nicholas Paletti further up the field by another 4 seconds. Terrell on a one-stop strategy like the two drivers. Well, we don't know about Jay Smart, actually. But one-stop strategy just like Nicholas Paletti is. On the inside there. Jeff McDonald giving him the room, and unfortunately paid the price. Glauber in that curb there. Lucky to stay in control of the car. But Nick Terrell on the same strategy as Paletti, but pit a good amount later. Will the fresh tires help at the end of the race? It does seem... I mean... The difficulty is that him doing that overcut, of course he makes himself really safe with the fuel, but it allows Paletti to get the pass on him through the pits, and Nick Terrell has to make it happen on track, which is obviously more difficult to do than just getting by someone virtually through some time. So will he regret that stretch on his... Oh, and a touch. That seemed like some... Oh, Sheldon Rosenbaum's going to survive that. That was a crazy save for Rosenbaum. And that was the race leader, Sheldon Rosenbaum. He's going to serve a slowdown, of course, as he unfortunately cut basically the entire corner. He's going to lose to Westland probably. Yeah, he's still got some time to burn off. We'll have to take a look at that incident again. I don't think that it didn't really seem like the kind of incident that it seemed like a net code kind of deal. But that was between Nick Terrell and Rosenbaum. So Terrell is, again, going to earn some incident points for that, as, of course, Rosenbaum at least went off track. So something inherited between the two, which is not what he wants to hear, as the safety points have become oh so important for that GTB class especially. Rosenbaum 2/10 back. Can he fight back to get first? One an unfortunate way to lose, but incredible save. So we wait to make sure no position swap here. Hard to get a good replay on exactly what happened for Rosenbaum. Let's see if this shows it at all. This is when he already slowed down. We'll have to go a little bit further back. So let's take a step back. So I'll keep an eye on the standings, make sure that we don't get a swap. But I just want to get a good look at what happened here. We were really far off, had a pretty zoomed out view, couldn't really see. So Nick Terrell, that's that teal mystery machine coming through here. Yeah, I think that Sheldon Rosenbaum just didn't see him there. Not netcode. A graceful save, a bit of air, hopefully no damage to the floor of that car. But Nick Terrell's car was there. I don't think he really did anything undue. Rosenbaum, not anything dirty, just didn't notice him come up so fast. Accidentally turned into him. But luckily, able to survive. Lost that first place spot, but didn't lose the ability to fight for it. It's just 3/10 back. And we already saw him get the spot. That looked to be maybe helped a little bit by some undercut, some fresher tires, or warmer tires, excuse me. But can he do it on pace here? He's down to sub 2/10. Not going to try anything into this braking zone. James Foreman, who at one point was leading the race, has now slipped back to third. He's not that far back. Oh, and a good exit for Rosenbaum. A little wide for Nathan Westland. Not enough to worry him as far as incident points, but it's got to worry him because Rosenbaum's ahead around the outside. The inside's the preferred line, but the outside's going to get you more speed down the straight. He's going to be able to slot ahead. Now, of course, this is not the spot you necessarily want to be in at all times. We're going to have a really good tow for Nathan Westland coming up through Radion. Oh, and actually, they've fallen back a little bit. He's got to worry about James Foreman behind. Foreman, can he make the move? He's got some tow from that car of Sheldon Rosenbaum in front as Westland decided to take the inside. He loses the tow. They're side by side. Can Foreman get up to second around the outside? Still battling. You can see that car just next to each other. Ahead for Westland. Is he going to try a switchback? Foreman couldn't get on the gas early enough. It's a very good defense for Westland. We've seen time and time again this season Nathan Westland have to defend some spots. Did well there, but losing some time for sure to Sheldon Rosenbaum, who was able to reclaim that first place spot on another really good move. Showed that he deserved to be up there despite having that minor incident that just for a second took him out of the lead of this race. Rosenbaum up 8 spots too. Did not qualify all that well. That's not something I've touched upon yet at this point, but he qualified back in 9th. He's up all the way up to 1st. I mean, Foreman qualified. He started at the front. He was first at the start of this race. Westland only started back in 4th. So Rosenbaum really coming out of nowhere to pick his way through the field. Of course, getting past some incidents that happened in front of him, but just being the faster driver so far here in this race. We look at best times. We can see where they all kind of stack up. Fastest laps is by Ken Huber. Not a total shock there, but he has not. He's really only got a second broken into Jesse Coffey's gap right now. When Coffey's close to Cowger, a couple seconds back from Lucas. I mean, everyone's not that far away from each other. But right now, it is fastest lap for Ken Huber. Sheldon Rosenbaum's time, not that far off it, just a couple tenths back. Jeff McDonald, also a really competitive lap. Jack Lucas into the fours. Terry Cowger Jr. just a little bit slower than Ken Huber's, but very close between the two. And in the GTPs, Jay Smart still does have the fastest lap, just slightly faster than actually all three of those guys at the top. I was getting the ones and the twos mixed up there. Excuse me. Paul Skip is very close, just about a tenth off in that fastest lap category. But both Paletti and Terrell all second off, and that's exactly what we saw last race with Terrell going for that one-stop strategy, was not driving fast. Couldn't do it, obviously, to save the fuel. Had to lose some time, and they're both going for that strategy here today. Will it pay off? We'll see. I mean, a second at this track, not so bad. I mean, it's a long lap, so losing a second, if it means you don't have to take the longest pit stop in the world, then it may actually work out for him. 43 seconds is the gap right now between Skip and Paletti. We expect that to probably continue to increase, although it's decreasing right as I say that. But you would expect that Skip will maybe commit to that two-stop strategy. He pit so early, I don't think he can make the one-stop happen at this point. Smart maybe can make that happen. But the gap being 22, 23 seconds, I don't know. It's hard to estimate if that's going to be a safe amount back. But we'll know closer to time. We are at the 1 hour mark. We'll take another few-minute break. We'll be right back with you as we keep this battle for first up on screen. And be back in just a couple minutes. Back. We are still looking at the top three. James Foreman's started to slip a little bit back, 1.4 seconds. Still definitely not out of the conversation, out of the battle, but Westland has just been hounding Rosenbaum here since he lost that spot after Rosenbaum had to re-pass him after the off-track in the bus stop. And about a minute, or an hour, 10. Again, now is where I'm starting to expect maybe some drivers having to come in for some drive-thrus. It does look like we haven't had any yet. Not that I noticed it, at least. John Kelly's in for his second pit stop. That is a strategy thing. He pit at the 30-minute mark. Now pitting here at the 1 hour 10. So him and Paul Skip definitely doing a two-stop. And actually exactly what I expected to happen with Skip and Paletti has not happened. Paletti's actually caught up to Paul Skip. So maybe Skip is adjusting his run plan to try to make a one-stop work, because he's losing time in decent chunks to Paletti. Of course, 20 seconds is still a healthy gap, but not necessarily if he's got to come in to stop again. So hard to tell exactly what strategy he's trying to do now. It definitely looked like a two-stop for Skip when he came in for his first. Has he adjusted that now after seeing how late some of these other drivers have been able to take it? Remains to be seen, but he didn't get burnt by it last race. Last race, Paul Skip went for a two-stop. Still was able to beat Nick Terrell doing the one-stop. It's going to be a little bit tighter this time, I believe. But right now, can be happy with the 20-second lead that he's got. Morgan Smith into the pits. That's an interesting stop for him. Maybe a drive-through. Let's take a look. Because shouldn't have to pit based on strategy. I don't think he was a driver who pit early for damage. Don't remember anything happening to him. Really not going to have an idea if this is a drive-through until another 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Making his way through the halfway point. Yeah, you actually have to let up. You see right there, you can't even go full speed, quote-unquote, full pit speed through that section. You have to lift, and if you're not careful, you have to even brake. And Morgan Smith here on his debut was up a lot of positions, definitely losing some here with this second pit stop. I'm just wondering, waiting to see if this is an actual pit stop or if this is a drive-through. And you just get an idea if this is a drive-through of how painful it is to unfortunately do this. Just from racking up some off tracks. It looks like he's long. Yes, that is a drive-through. So first drive-through that we've had, an unfortunate one on his debut here, was running quite well. Had some good speed, up a lot of positions. But that is a lot of lost time that he's going to be hoping his rivals will experience soon in the coming minutes as well. Nick Terrell has closed up to Nicholas Paletti. Both drivers having to be careful about their fuel. But with the top three starting to spread out in GT3, this is the closest battle on track right now, I believe. Yeah, the only one sub 1 second. Definitely a racetrack that allows drivers to stay close, but of course, this long into the race, the stratification is going to start happening. But all that considered, I mean, you look at the... if Rosenbaum, for example, just had one minor spin and just it took him a little bit getting back on the track, he could lose back all the way to 9th, 10th. The drivers are really all separated by just a couple seconds. It's just they're not close enough right now to really be stressing each other, I don't think. But it is really interesting to keep track of how close that top 10 or top 9 is right now. Of course, there is a big gap behind Aaron Claybaugh back to Roger Schenck. But ahead of that point, all those guys really competitive with each other currently. Ken Huber, again, still just has not caught up that much to Jesse Coffey. He's got the fastest lap, and I Don't know if that came in the first stint before the damage or came here in the second stint, but it was like 2.5, 2.6 seconds last time we looked at it. It's 2 point, well, he's caught up in these corners here. Now he's brought it down to sub 2 seconds. He heard me. He overheard me. As some motivation, he's catching up. Let's take a look, see if that's obvious at all. They're making their way around some traffic, so maybe some traffic slowing Jesse Coffey there. So it's Todd Schneider getting out of the way through No Name. Now through Double Gauche, probably, yeah, it won't happen here. Through Piff Paff, will Ken Huber lose any time? He's down to 1.4 seconds, so he's really turned on the afterburners here. Does have to hesitate as he makes his way past this traffic. Can't take all the way out the track, but 1.3 seconds now to Jesse Coffey. As this would be up to 7th place, 6th place if you exclude Terry Calgary there, who, despite the crash, Ken Huber and Terry both having a pretty big crash there close to the bus stop. And they're still running all right, 6th, 8th. Again, just seconds away from the lead. Not a horrible result. Ooh, and that is, just for one moment there, McDonald had close to a second from James Foreman. If you remember, he had spent a good amount of time in that first stint where he was in no man's land, and he was running well. He was in 4th place, but he had at one point dropped all the way back to 4 seconds off the 3rd place runner. For one moment there, he was less than a second to James Foreman there in 3rd. So does McDonald have some extra pace that he's been keeping in store here for later in the race? We'll have to see. But he is looking, I mean, he's clearly caught up 3 seconds at least through some manner of strategy or on-track pace. And will that continue here tonight? He's very safe behind. And again, previously, he also was a little more threatened, I guess, by Jack Lucas. Now 4 seconds back to him, so not having to worry, not having to look behind him at all. I mean, he'll be checking the gaps, I'm sure, but right now, eyes forward to James Foreman as he's just a second off. No more drivers we've seen come in for a drive-through. Travis Rowe is still there in the pits. He has been for a while. Has not officially retired, but he is 8 laps down, so we're not going to see him gaining any spots. We don't even have 8 laps left in the race for these GT3s. Paul Skip into the pits for the second time. This is when we're going to see what he's coming up against with Paletti and Terrell. 400. Oh, this is going to be really rough. Paletti's catch up was slowed down a little bit there. I thought it was going to be at that pace as far as distance, but coming down the straight, Paletti's coming down the main straight right now with Nick Terrell right there. Paul Skip is going to be way behind. I mean, wow. This is going to be a big undertaking for Paul Skip. He may have lost this race just on the strategy. He's still not to his stop. He's getting closer. He's now starting the second part. How much time is he going to be back here? I mean, even if he's a second a lap faster, 2 seconds a lap faster, oh boy, this is going to be difficult for him to make happen. He's behind Jason. I think it's over for him. Oh, and does he have damage? He does. We didn't even notice that. I don't know what that. Oh, now it's gone. Okay. I don't know why that was. I don't know why it was looking like that. I thought he looked fine coming in the pits. Or maybe he actually may have damaged the car on that halfway point. He may have hit the wall and totally sheared off the nose with that spot where you have to lift. It's very possible. I've broken off the nose of the GTP coming into the pits at this track, and Nick Terrell and Zach Nurburger can attest to that. Did that in a team race, so it wouldn't be out of the question. But 25 seconds back. Jay Smart may come into pit again. That'll save Skip another spot at least. But wow, what an effect! I mean, it was of course known that this was the longest pit, and that have to pit another time would be bad. But maybe he just didn't think it was possible to stretch that fuel and still be fast enough. It did seem like Paletti and Terrell were, in general, like a second or more slower per lap. But of course, if that's going to continue at that pace, Skip he still needs another 35 laps to catch up to Paletti and Terrell if he is a second a lap faster. So I think, unfortunately, this was a bad strategy call for the championship leader. and no more drop weeks. So like this, the gaps we have, those are the real gaps. And I'm really curious to see how this, because I don't know if other drop weeks are going to replace the ones that the current drivers have. So you can't totally estimate without some pretty intense math what's the actual order is going to be here at the end. But it does, I mean, it's even more interesting that Paletti's ahead of Terrell currently, and Paletti's the driver in third. So we do have a reverse order of our top three currently in first, second, fourth. And yeah, that one spot taken up by Jay Smart is brutal for Paul Skip as well, losing just in what's a matter of just a few points in the championship battle. Can't afford to lose a couple more points away from that third place spot that Jay Smart has. So he'll be hoping that Smart can't make it work on fuel. We'll see when we get closer to the end here. And McDonald has the ultimate pace right now. Foreman not really falling more back from Westland than he was before, so I think this is, and yeah, McDonald really pulling away from Jack Lucas, so McDonald may be the fastest driver in the field right now. Let's see, his last lap is a 21:07, and yeah, sure enough, not a single driver in the GT3 field with a faster lap than him over the last one. I mean, even a second a lap faster than Jack Lucas behind, faster than Jesse Coffey, Ken Huber. I mean, some strong guys. But Ken Huber's also caught up now, of course, now to 8/10. Jesse Coffey, Ken Huber with the exact same lap time over the last lap to the 100th. Auger into the pits again. We were expecting that. He needed to come in because his pit stop for damage was unfortunately right before that strategy call. But McDonald, it seems like, is it's not about if he's going to get up to third here. It's about when. He just needs to pick his moment. I mean, to be fair, though, we're down to 10 minutes, 5 laps. Can Foreman really defend for 5 laps when it just seems like McDonald's got this extra pace right now? Even more curious because they pit on the same lap. It's not like he has fresher tires. Jack Lucas behind does, but he's been faster than Jack Lucas. Lucas pit on lap 22. These drivers, except for Sheldon Rosenbaum at the front, pit on lap 20. The earliest stop we had for strategy was Ken Huber on lap 18, so his tires will be going off earlier than anybody else's, unless he's been treating them extra nice. But he is keeping it close with Coffey. It does look like 6th is going to be the best that he can expect here today. Ken Huber's podium streak that he had from race 1 looks to be broken here today, unless something really catastrophic here happens at the end. Of course, we had an incredible long, I think 13 race win streak that he had after not winning the first race, and still podiumed in the race that he lost the streak in, which was Road America, where Tyler Langenberg was able to finish first, and Tyler Langenberg not finishing this race. We saw the early incident, but I don't know exactly what the instigating incident for him parking it was. But the podium streak, it does look like it is going to come to an end here. Still on the cards for Huber to be able to win every counted race with 4 drop weeks, because this will be just the 3rd race that he hasn't won. So if he's able to win out, or only have one more loss, just not winning, for the rest of the season, he can still make that happen, which we have had happen twice. Dennis Diaz and Terry Kiger Jr. have both done that, I believe, winning every counted race. But this season, despite the unfortunate circumstances here today for Ken Huber, has definitely been one for the annals of E4A, because I think you could definitely argue it as one of the greatest seasons in E4A history. He's trying to get another spot here, just some more points. He doesn't need any more points, that's for sure, on the season. No one even remotely close to him in those standings. And even further, the driver in second place, Tyler Langenberg, just like aforementioned, not finishing the race here today. Josh Doty's in 3rd. He's not here at this race. Travis Rowe in 4th. He's in the pits. He's not finishing this race. And Aaron Claybaugh is in 5th, who is 217 points back. So the highest placed driver in the overall standings that is going to finish this race was already 217 points back, and a position behind Ken Huber as it stands, may end up 2 positions back. So that's just how this season has gone for Ken Huber. Despite this one maybe not being the best result, still been a very strong season. Could get this spot on Coffey. He's putting a lot of pressure. He's got a lot of pace on him here. 2/10 into Piff Paff. We saw a couple moves into Piff Paff earlier. Not the easiest passing opportunity. Has been done. John Kelly's coming up on him and is going to hopefully not get in the way too much of this battle. 3/10 now for Huber. Should have plenty of fuel. I imagine he pit at a pretty comfortable time. Kelly's on the inside. Huber will be all right with that. He'll get some draft as he swings now in through Curb Paul Frere into Blanchimont. Trying to make it sub 2/10. Maybe make something happen into the braking zone of the bus stop chicane. Well, looked like a little bit stronger there through that apex for Jesse Coffey's BMW. BMW with some mixed results here today. We have Jesse Coffey as the front runner for the drivers in it. Aaron Clayball back in 8th, Travis Bell in 10th, and then Todd Schneider there in 13th. So 4 guys using the BMW. Mixed results here today. Huber getting some clean air for that braking zone. Jeff McDonald has unfortunately lost a lot of time to James Foreman. Was keeping it close. I said it was not a if, but when, and it actually may now turn into an if. He's got to climb back another 1.7 seconds. It's going to be very difficult to do with just a few more laps left to go for these guys. It looks like Terry Calgary Jr.'s second pit was not a forced strategy pit. I mean, he needed to come in fuel-wise regardless, but looking like there was an incident right before. Let's see what that was. So this is going back a little bit here in time. Into La Source. Struggle to see what might happen here. Oh, okay. Knew he was off strategy, so he just did that on purpose. But I thought something actually may have happened. La Source, not the most common place to have a big wreck. There's so much runoff there on the outside. I mean, maybe you just lose some time or whatever, but you wouldn't normally tow to the pits from an incident in La Source unless you do something like that. Strong, stout defense from Jesse Coffey over the last couple laps. I don't think he's really had to throw too many blocks, but he has placed his car in good spots. He's had the strong exits where he needs them to be. Less than 5 minutes to go. Plenty of time for Huber to try to get something set up. Again, this is the only spot he's going to be looking to get. He doesn't have to worry about Claywall behind, 6.6 seconds. So it's just looking forward now. Sheldon Rosenbaum looks like he's going to be able to get his inaugural win here today. First win in E4A has not been against easy competition. Most of these GT3 guys have been seeing the yellow car of Ken Huber here up at the front. So a rare sight to not see him leading the race, and gives the opportunity for a driver to get a first win. Westland doesn't look to be close enough, I think, to stress Rosenbaum out at front unless there's anything to have to do with fuel. 4 minutes, under 4 minutes to go. Huber's still close, but back a little bit. A couple tenths further back. Was 21.9 for him on that lap, 21.7 for Jesse Coffey. No more drive-throughs that we've seen. And it does look like the drivers are pushing the track limits a little bit less. Not that that was an example there, that you don't really want to get on that curb of La Source too much. It'll definitely disturb the car. But through some of these other corners, I feel like we've seen the drivers a little bit more conservative and careful. Travis Bell, all of a sudden, really close to Roger Schenk. That's a battle for 9th. Try to keep our eyes on both things happening at once. Rosenbaum just went off track for a second and lost a few tenths to Westland. Doesn't look like he should have to worry. Nick Terrell at the front, too. We just saw those guys go through. Nick Terrell 5 tenths, and that's for the lead of the race. Paul Skip still in 4th. He's going to finish in 4th unless Jay Smart has to come in for some fuel here at the very, very end. Making their way past James Foreman. So these are some top-ranking GT3s. They're making their way by. It's going to be, they're going to be a little bit less giving as far as letting the GTPs by with losing as much or losing as little time as possible. Making their way by Nathan Westland now, cleanly through into Piff Paff. 4 tenths separates the two. Does Terrell have the pace late to make something happen? He pit 1 lap later than Nicholas Paletti, and it kind of undid him in the strategy game because he lost out to Paletti in the through the pits, and the game was going to have to be with that overcut to get him on track. It's proving difficult so far. Can it be done? They're going to come across the line soon. I think they'll still have two. Yeah. Oh, no, actually, with two. This is going to be it. This is going to be a white flag. It's going to be a very early white flag. Not what Nick Terrell wants to see, especially because he went later on that fuel, maybe preparing for a later white flag potentially. But this should be the white flag as they come across now, as their lap times are about 2 minutes. This is optimal for Nicholas Paletti, optimal for Jay Smart as well, as long as he's not coming to the pits now. Ken Huber still has not got that spot from Jesse Coffey. And actually, just now that gap increased. Travis Bell still close to Roger Shank, but we are going to stay on board for this last lap with Nick Terrell, see if he's able to get this spot from Paletti here late. Nick Terrell, again, did not qualify, so he was already starting against the odds. Down to 3/10. This is the best passing opportunity here. Driver's not able to use that battery like they normally can in these fixed setups. He would desperately be wanting to use some down the straight. He's not going to be able to make it happen here. That's the best passing opportunity on the track. Second best will be into the bus stop chicane, the very end of this lap. We'll see if there's maybe any mistakes that Paletti makes, but if Paletti keeps it smooth, all he has to worry about, I think, will be that very last corner, which is not what you want to hear. But it makes it plenty exciting for us up here. Paletti's got, just for a second, was there over half a second. Half a second would make him feel pretty comfortable. If Terrell's able to stay closer to that 2-3 it makes him a little more dangerous. And there he is. He breaks into the 3/10 again as a stronger exit through Double Gauche. Now into Pief Paf. Sub 3/10, very close between the two. You can only get so close before the air wash starts to have a negative effect. Keeping it in the track limits. This is right now the opportunity for Terrell to have a good exit through there. He seemed like he was a little bit wide, about equal through that section. As they go through Kurt Paul Frere now into Blanchimont. This is the last lap of the race. We just hit that 130 mark. It's 3/10. It's sub 3/10. Nick Terrell's got to have to try something into the bus stop here. He's going to try something. Nick Terrell, can he make anything happen? 2/10? I don't think so. He's got an aggressive move and a collision between the two that I think really, it just seemed like it was a little bit late of a move. Nick Terrell's going to come across in the lead. Second place in the championship, may move into first place after this race here. Of course, the safety point's going to be losing some there. But Nick Terrell comes across as your victor tonight. Nicholas Paletti there in second. Jay Smart was able to make the one-stop work despite the earlier pit stop than the other drivers. He comes across in third. Unfortunately, Paul Skip, while being a fast driver out there, the two-strap strategy just not working for him at all. We see right behind him, also on track, was Ken Huber trying to make that move, but Sheldon Rosenbaum has crossed the line. He's in first place. That's an inaugural win for Sheldon Rosenbaum. Nathan Westland, another win for the B class, and a second place overall. Wonderful performance for him. That is win number 4, now matching Jack Lucas on the season. Jeff McDonald gets a podium himself. That is his second podium on the season. So another good, and also I think it was a third on his other podium. So his best performance so far this year in that 4th overall, second place in the A class. Some more drivers still to cross the line. Jesse Coffey here, Travis Bell trying to get the spot from Roger Shank. This is the last lap into the bus stop chicane. Strong defense for Shank, nowhere that Bell can go. I think this is going to be the order here, unless he really goes out wide. And yeah, Shank's going to be able to maintain that 9th spot, top 10 for all these drivers. Zach Nurnberger still to cross the line. He's coming into the bus stop. John Kelly also right ahead of him on track, going to finish in 6th of the GTPs. And he crossed the line. Morgan Smith, the last driver to make the move across the finish line. Unfortunately, the only driver, I think, to get a drive-through, was moving really well. Still up 8 from where he qualified back in 20th. But unfortunate to have that drive-through. Definitely impacted his race, but still a plenty quick driver out there. Comes across in 12th. That is the entire field. So, let us get the official results here. In the GTP class, Nick Terrell getting the win for the GTPs and only second win on the season. He's had a lot of podiums. It's podium number 11, but only the second win. It'll do a lot for him in that championship battle. Should take the lead in the championship, I believe, after tonight's points are put up with Paul Skip's third place. I don't. Nicholas Paletti is something. He's in fourth. Did he potentially? I think Nicholas Paletti may have got a drive-through from the collision on that final lap. Okay, so that's something we have to figure out by next week. But Nick Terrell's in first. Jay Smart is in second with his sixth podium on the season, and Paul Skip with podium number 13. It seemed like he was definitely finishing in fourth. He's there in third. Nicholas Paletti went from first, running that last lap, now to fourth. Paul Boyle in fifth, and John Kelly finishing in sixth. GTD field, first place, an inaugural victory for Sheldon Rosenbaum. Had a strong string of podium finishes as he started this season halfway through. Now gets that victory. First season with E4A. Nathan Westland with another victory there in the B class. James Foreman, Jeff McDonald, and Jack Lucas round out the top 5. Following them, Jesse Coffey, Ken Huber, Aaron Claybaugh, Roger Schenk, and Travis Bell in the top 10. Zach Nuremberger, Morgan Smith, Todd Schneider, Terry Cowger Jr., Travis Rowe, Tyler Langenberg, Mauricio Prada, Austin Diltz, Greg Holland, and Dan Barnett. And finally, Christopher Craig, who did not take the start. Let us see who we got ready for an interview. Let us get our A-class winner, Sheldon Rosenbaum, in the booth here. Sheldon, you got me in the booth.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of podiums on the season. You've been close a few times. You were close at Road America with Tyler Langenberg, and this time you're actually able to make that happen for that victory. It was not without plenty of action. Talk us through that, especially that pretty dramatic off-track incident you had in the bus stop.
Oh, yeah. Started from, 8th or 9th and had to fight my way through. And then I'm almost in the lead after the pits. Essentially, I am in the lead. And I don't know, one of the prototypes went by and I thought I was clear. And I went over, and next thing I know, man, I'm flying across the freaking grass. And I luckily saved it. And then I had a slowdown penalty, like 3.5 seconds. I had to sit and wait. And that gave Nathan time to catch me. And, yeah, it was an exciting race. I'm sweating like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really have any breaks. You were clawing up through the positions at the start of the race, and then once you had made your way to the top 3, or even we saw you at the start, kind of lurking there in fourth for a while before eventually joining that battle into the top 3 after Terry's incident, and we're battling the entire race from then on. It looks like you made that move to undercut the top 2, and that got you the one position on James Foreman. And did you just have those fresher tires to be able to make your way past Westland into the, because I think you got him into Lefania, which is not a typical passing opportunity.
Yeah, I had a lap on my tires and got him heated up where he was coming out on cold tires. So I knew I had better grip than him. I felt it. So, yeah, it worked out.
Well, again, congratulations on an inaugural victory there. You had a pole position already on the season. You had 4 podiums, now podium number 5, but you get your first win in what's been obviously a class that's been a little bit dominated by Ken Huber. But you were already, you were ahead of him anyway. It was his incident didn't impact that. So congratulations on that victory. Coming up next week, we're going to be going to Barcelona and potentially some rain happening in that race as well. What are you looking forward to next week with that?
The dry track. I'm hoping it's not raining. But yeah, I like Barcelona.
Well, congratulations on that victory again here today, Sheldon, and we look forward to hearing from you again in the future.
All right, thanks, Zach.
Have a good night.
For all you do.
Oh, thank you. That was our race winner for GTDA, Sheldon Rosenbaum. Now we're going to bring in our GTB winner, Nathan Westland. Nathan, you got me in the booth.
Yep, I got you.
You were really close last week to that win. You lost it on the final lap in what was a pretty legendary battle with Jack Lucas. This time, battling for second overall in the race. And of course, a lot of give and take that you and Sheldon Rosenbaum had, and James Foreman, who was leading that race for a good amount. In the end, coming in first for the B class, second overall, best finish on the season. What led to that success here today?
Yeah, I mean, it started off a little rough. I was just looking back at the replay with when Ken Huber, we had some light contact, and um, I think it was just kind of a racing incident. But after that, just kind of settled in, was stuck behind James for a long, long time, and just was letting him kind of tow me away from the people behind. Then eventually, I was going to pit that lap, and he ended up having a small mistake, so I got in front of him. And then, yeah, after that, I was ahead of Sheldon for a little bit, but I knew he was going to be faster from practice. So I kind of just didn't really fight him too hard and just kind of sat in his toe and had him help me kind of pull away from James.
Yeah, you mentioned the practice. I mean, at one point, you had the fastest time in practice as well. So, you're competitive from that first session through qualifying. Qualified fourth, I think, overall, and then strong in the race there. When you saw Sheldon Rosenbaum peel in behind both you guys and pit that one lap earlier, were you worried about that undercut? Undoing you because it seemed because it wasn't a oft or a common passing opportunity that he got by you in Lefania, where your tire's just not up to temperature at that point yet?
Yeah, when I saw him, I was trying to determine if I should pit, but then I passed James, so I was like, I'll just stay out another lap. But yeah, when I saw him go in the pits before me, I thought for sure he was going to come out ahead of me. So, and then when I did come back out and um, he was behind me a little bit, yeah, my tires were just way too cold at that point, and he had had a whole lap to get them warmed up, so didn't have any grip to get out of the corners.
Well, also interesting that coming into this race, you were in fourth place in the B championship. You're gonna obviously make up some points on the guys ahead. Although I don't think really anybody in the top of the B class. I mean, all top four positions were in the top six here tonight, so it's still uber competitive between you guys. We're coming to Barcelona next week, and that is also going to come with a potential chance of rain. So, what are you looking forward to next week? And does the rain? Do you think that benefits you, or is going to be more difficult?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the rain. I hope there's a little bit because that would definitely spice some things up in the front. But yeah, I mean, I think for the B class season, how close it is and how close the top four drivers have stayed every race. It's like I'm probably gaining a point or two on Jack Lucas this week, um, but yeah, looking forward to Barcelona. Hoping rain does come. I'll have to do a little bit of practice with the rain to get comfortable with it. But yeah, looking forward to next week.
Well, thank you very much. Congratulations on win number 4, now matching Jack Lucas for most wins in that GTDB class. And we look forward to hearing from you again soon.
Yep. Have a good night.
Have a good night, Nathan. That was our GTDB winner. We're bringing Nick Terrell, our winner for GTB. Nick, you got me in the booth.
I do. What's up?
It has been a little bit. Last race victory for you dates back to Indy Road Course in week 3, but still with some consistent finishes. You're still there in the overall standings, of course. Came into the race just 4 points back from Paul Skip. It's hard to calculate all those drop weeks in, but should take the lead after tonight. You went for the one stop. Was that the plan from the very start? Because it wasn't for Paul Skip, and it seemed like that was one of the issues for his race.
Yeah, certainly. I did just a real quick look on like Garage 61 just to like see what my fuel usage even was and real quick math. And I was like, I don't know if it's gonna be worth saving, but I was like, that pit lane is so darn long. I was like, I had my numbers if it was gonna be like 43 laps versus 44 laps, and I like glanced over like on the straightaway a couple of times just to like see, and yeah, it was a lot of math there. And yeah, I ran out on my extra lap. I was glad the downhill section of the pits was there because I was totally empty. If I overshot my box, I would have been done.
And what was the strategy call to go that extra lap further than Paletti? Paletti was obviously also going for a one-stop strategy. You went the extra lap, and it did seem like through that one lap you lost on track that position. What was the strategy? Were you expecting a late white flag potentially? Because it did come pretty early in this one.
Yeah, I was hoping to have that extra lap. We were like right at 43.0, and I kept seeing it teeter 43.1, 43.2, back to 43.0 to take us to that 44th lap. And I knew Paletti wouldn't be able to be full pushing then. And whenever I saw us get that white flag, I was like cussing a little bit. I was like, oh, crap, I wasn't expecting to have to be like game mode right now. So it was just hoping for no traffic to be in there and a good draft and some decent overspeed. And I went back and I was looking. I mean, I was unfortunate with the way it went there. I was hard on the brakes, just trying to keep the nose. I was looking to go up over the hurdle curbing on the right side there, and try to make it close, but end up getting the contact, and it was unfortunate. I was wanting to see if we could have a actual side by side race at the very end there, and maybe some actual door banging. But I didn't want to spin. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely a tight battle there at the very end, and I think that white flag surprising probably the whole field there. And do you? I'm still trying to figure it out myself because Paletti finished in fourth. Did he get? Did he go over the
down.
incident limit?
No, he was having a slowdown from
Oh.
cutting over to the left of the curbing when he exited there. When he was facing back toward the way we just came, had he came out there and then did a U-turn, he wouldn't have had a slowdown. But if you just cut through there, you get like a 3.5 or 4 second slowdown.
Yeah, we saw. We did see that with Sheldon Rosenbaum. That happened with your car
Oh,
as well.
God.
That was going to be
Oh
the
my
question
God.
too. You were involved in a couple incidents. How were the incident points looking? We only saw one drive-through on the race, but I was kind of expecting some more.
Until Sheldon's, where he didn't realize there were 2 GTPs coming by. I actually talked to him in the waiting room. He thought there was just the one, so he just thought he was totally clear. Came over and hip checked me, and I deployed a missile at that point. And
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be race over. I was glad it was only the 1X that I ended up taking there. But I was looking at my right monitor, and I see this purpley blue missile just firing off to the right. Oh my gosh! Oh my God! I was just glad no one got nailed. It didn't affect his race, obviously, since he won.
Yeah, it was a really incredible recovery. He got some hair time on that one. So coming into next week is Barcelona. It's going to be the first race of these 2 here that will have a chance of rain. Are you looking forward to rain, or is that just add too much more to the random mix?
I wouldn't be so against it or whatnot if we had ability to be able to adjust some traction control settings and things like that, because these GTPs are already enough of a handful, even having open setup options in the rain. So it's going to be some dirt track looking driving going on, I imagine, if we do end up getting rain.
Well, we look forward to hearing from you again. Maybe seeing you in a rainy race next week. But congratulations on that win, second win on the season, and that is a podium number 11 as well. So congratulations on that, and you have a good night, Nick.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks for all you do and everything else. Have a good one.
Thanks. As our race winner, overall race winner, Nick Terrell. Yeah, Nicholas Paletti with us. Not even a drive-through, but just a slowdown, the same kind of slowdown that Sheldon Rosenbaum would have had to serve after his incident. Unfortunate to see that undo. It's a brutal. I mean, he lost a minute. It was a minute penalty from not serving that slowdown, and probably didn't even know that he had it before he crossed the line. So unfortunate for Paletti there. But meanwhile, if you're here for the racing, again, we will have a chance of rain in the next 2 races. Next race at Barcelona, after that at Interlagos, and it's pending if we'll have some potential rain in those last 2 races at Le Mans and Watkins Glen as well. So if you're here for a same time next week, and everyone, have a good night.